Welcome everybody. Welcome to this first global live event on dog behavior, on your questions, on all the things that you've always wanted to know about your dog's behavior. And especially now that we are all around the world in a very difficult situation. Everybody is either in a state of lockdown or pretty close to that, depending on which part of the world you're in. So things are difficult. Things are difficult for everybody, really. So I am here today to answer your questions, to talk about what you want to know. What should I be doing with my dog now that the coronavirus is reaching every corner of the world? So please send me your questions. Send me your questions down on below. Send me your comments, and I will make sure that I answer them and see how we can help you, because that's what I'm here to do today. I am Dr. Dog. I am a behaviorist. I am somebody who knows what your dog really thinks about you. So today is your chance to ask me everything you've always wanted to know about your dog's behavior. It's something that a lot of the time baffles us. Dogs have strange behaviors. They do strange things. They follow us around everywhere. We go to the bathroom. They come with us. They turn around in circles before they do number two. They turn around in circles before they lie down, although there is apparently no reason to do it. So dogs do the strangest things, but dogs are just our most trustful and loving companions, apart from other humans, sometimes even more than other humans. They are really man and woman's best friend, and really, it's just fantastic to be around them. And I think, particularly in this time, which is a very difficult time, everybody's experiencing a difficult time across the world. They are a great help. I really think they're a great help. So write to me. Tell me where you are from. Where are you watching me today? Which part of the world are you in? And what are you doing? So let's have a look. We'll start from the beginning. Here is Mike and Nancy. Hi, Mike and Nancy, plus Scout. Yeah, Scout is a lovely German Shepherd. He's a wonderful dog, and like all German Shepherds, he is always very attentive. So his ears are up there. He's always highly strung, he's always on the go. He's always wanting to do things. And Scout is only 2 years old, so so he really is pretty much in his prime now. So let me ask you, does your dog show strange behaviors? Have things changed since you've been in lockdown? How are your days now? Do you get to walk your dog much in your part of the world, or is it really not allowed? I spent a lot of the lockdown at the beginning of March. I was in Italy, and of course, as everybody knows, is one of the hardest hit countries in the world. And the lockdown rules in Italy, which have just recently, a few days ago, been relaxed, were very strict indeed. So dog walks were only allowed 200 meters around your house where you lived. Your dogs could only of course, be walked on a leash. There was no dog-to-dog interaction. That was not allowed. And it was basically not allowed because otherwise you come too close to the other humans. So that was the reason. So lots of different things in lots of different places. We've got, who we have? Warren coming in from Frankfurt in Germany with Jax. Jax, I know well. Jax is a lovely dog who's a very barky dog. Now we've got somebody from Paris. Thank you. Hello, Carolina from Paris. Somebody from Lugano in Switzerland. So we're really, let's see if we can spread a little bit further and grow across the pond. Let's see if we can get to the United States. Anybody in the United States watching us, let me know. Okay, so here we have Natalie, who's asking me, well done for going live. Thank you. Rufus, who's a wonderful dog. Rufus is, I think, just about 10 months old now. He's a Vizsla, a beautiful Hungarian hunting dog. And he's he's looking at the phone confused. He can hear my voice, but doesn't know. So shall I bark for all the people who've got dogs out there? I'll just bark for you. Yeah, so everybody's dog gets up and barks back at me. Okay, so whilst you're thinking of the questions you want to ask me, um, let me just tell you something which is really very important, something I want to clear up. Now, a lot of people around the world have been asking, can I catch COVID-19 from my dog? The answer is, well, theoretically, there is a very, very, very small margin of possibility that you can actually catch the coronavirus from your dog. Now, the way that it works is this. We catch coronavirus from other humans because of the droplets when we sneeze or cough that go across the air into somebody who's quite close to us, and then they can catch it. Now, if you have somebody who accidentally spits or sneezes, I mean, who's going to do that, right? On your dog, okay? And then you don't notice, but then you go and pat your dog, and you stroke his fur, and you get your hands wet, and then you put your finger in your mouth or up your nose, whatever, wherever you have more fun, then yes, you can theoretically catch it from your dog. So the question really is, can my dog get it? And the answer is, there is no scientific evidence across the world anywhere that dogs can actually catch the coronavirus. There have been 2 cases of reported dogs having coronavirus on the surface of their skin, inside the initial parts of the nose, so on the mucus on the nose. And one was a Volpino, so a little dog, a Pomeranian, who was living in Hong Kong with a lady who had caught the coronavirus. Okay, and scientists have found coronavirus on the inside of his nose. The dog died a few months later, a few weeks later, but it was 17 years old. I mean, that's a pretty good age for any dog, really. So it is not sure whether or not he died from the coronavirus. There is no evidence whatsoever. With cats, it is a little bit different. I'm not an expert on cats, but I do know that dogs and cats have, well, apart from the physiological differences, cats have a certain protein receptor which where the coronavirus can actually dock on the human coronavirus that we are, COVID-19, can dock onto that, and cats, big cats, can actually catch this. So there have been examples of big cats in a cat sanctuary, and I think in a zoo, catching it from the zookeeper. But whether or not it was developed and whether or not we can then catch it back from a cat, it is not proven at this time at all. Okay, so that's really important to know. Please remember, you don't necessarily have to, if you're not feeling well, you're feeling poorly, you may show symptoms of coronavirus. Please don't let your dog lick you. It's not a good thing to do in any case. But especially when you're ill, there are hardly any illnesses which can be transmitted from dogs to humans or from humans to dogs. But still, it is always better to stay safe. Okay, so let me see. Warren asked me, Jax has become a little bit more troublesome and stubborn, and we're wondering if it is because we're spending so much time with him lately. He gets like 3 hours of walks a day. You are very lucky. That doesn't sound like much of a lockdown to me. Okay, wow. Yes. This situation where we're spending so much more time at home is a big, major change for our dogs. It is a change for our dogs because they get to spend simply a lot more time with us, and therefore they can become perhaps a little bit more complacent. They have us all the time, so it can be that Jax has become more stubborn. Try to spend perhaps a little bit less time with him, try to shut him behind doors, and give him a little bit of a timeout sometimes. And especially for all those of you out there who are in countries who are about to loosen their lockdown rules. Okay, so looking across the states, certain parts of the United States will probably loosen their lockdown rules quite quickly. In certain countries in Asia, they have already been loosened. So you're going through that now. In certain parts of Europe, it's happening. It's going to happen more and more. So something to watch out there. And one of the critical things about this is when we go back to the normality, more or less the normality we had a few weeks ago, and our dogs are suddenly left home alone again. Well, what's going to happen is that your dog will suddenly not understand what's going on. Why are you suddenly leaving me alone again? Well, because a lot of people are going to go back to work. And that is the reason why we need, to make our dog understand that we are not separating from them. So we don't actually have separation anxiety. And so he understands that he can be home alone again, like he used to be before we were basically shut down inside our houses. Here's a little interesting fact for you. A lot of people talk about separation anxiety when they talk about dogs who have never learned to be home alone. All right. The truth is, separation anxiety is a real pathology. It's an illness, right? It happens in between 5 and 8% of all cases across the globe. All the other cases are dogs who are basically never learned to be alone. And it's not separation anxiety, it's anxiety about losing control over you. That's what it's all about. Your dog, who is a very gregarious social animal, has never learned to be alone. If it's suddenly then left alone because your situation changes and you have to go to work to do a different job perhaps, and he has to be alone for more hours than usual, then he will not put up with it, okay? Those 5 to 7 or 8% of cases where it becomes a real serious medical problem, they can only really be cured with the help of a certified behaviorist and a veterinarian, because these dogs will undergo a huge physical stress. They will start to show tremors, so they will be trembling. Their body temperature, they will get fever. They will start probably to hallucinate, although we don't know that. They will certainly start to show behaviors like self-mutilation. I mean, they will seriously harm themselves. They can jump through windows out of the second floor to try and get to their owner. So this kind of separation anxiety is a serious medical condition. So if you think that you have that, your dog has that, please consult your veterinarian, and they will be able to help you further in this. Okay, so that's really very important. For everybody else, please teach your dog to be alone sometimes. Okay, I mean, I understand, and believe me, I have a wonderful dog who wants to be with me all the time. Okay, and I like it. It's fine with me, but I also leave him alone. Sometimes I have to leave him at home. Sometimes I cannot take him with me to work when I go and see other dogs because it's just not feasible. And so he has learned to be by himself and to be fine with that. Okay, so let's have a look. Hello from Rob and Ginger. Hello, Rob. Rob, is Ginger your partner or is Ginger your dog? You never know. You never know. So hello to both of you. So where is everybody from? I know we've seen people from Frankfurt. We've seen somebody from Paris. What's the situation like in Paris at the moment? Carolina, what's the situation now in Paris? And Natalie Witzum from Lugano. Hi again, Natalie. If you're still watching, please let me know. What's it like in Lugano? I drove through Lugano about 2 weeks ago when I came back to when I moved to one of my working places, which is in Germany, which is, by the way, where I am currently talking to you from. You wouldn't see it because behind me, my friends from the beach, they're not really my friends from the beach. They are in a very, very lucky place. They're in Australia, the dogs behind me. But I'm in Germany at the moment. So Robert says it's not his partner, it's his dog. Oh, no, it's not. It's his dog. I thought so. Robert, what kind of a dog do you have? So Carolina is saying, let's have a look. Yes, in Paris, still locked down until next Tuesday. Then things will start to open. Wow, we've got somebody from Doha, from Qatar. Wow, welcome, Angie. Welcome. Thank you for joining us from Qatar. Tell me, what are things like in Qatar, apart from probably a lot warmer than most other parts of the world? But how are things going? So, Natalie, the shops and schools will open on the 18th of May. Well, let's really wish everybody luck in all the different countries across the world where things are changing. So Carolina writes to me, my dog feels strange to me to see me all day at home. Yeah, well, exactly. They really, they're not used to it. Let me tell you something which is really quite interesting about dogs understanding or knowing the passage of time. Now, everybody knows dogs can't read watches, right? We know that. But at least 99% of dogs. With my dog, I'm not really so sure. Sometimes he does surprise me. No, joking apart, dogs cannot tell the time, or can they? There was an experiment done by the BBC a few years ago, where there was a family, a couple. They had a dog who would start to bark at the window and start whinging, really getting excited at the window, looking out of their house every day at 4 p.m. every day, because at about 4:15 to 4:30, the owner of the dog would come home. So the owners thought, well, our dog can tell the time. And here's the thing. Dogs can't tell the time. They can tell the passage of time by the way that smells diminish or increase. Okay? So they can also tell, of course, by the way that light changes throughout the day. So the biological clock of a dog, pretty much like that of insects, birds, and lots of other animals. Our biological clock is driven by the sun, right? At night, daylight animals tend to go to sleep, and at night animals wake up and go and hunt and do whatever night animals do at night. Okay, but let's get back to this dog. Now, this dog, get this. This dog, what the owners thought was, if we can replenish the smell of the owner before the owner comes back, maybe we can trick the dog into thinking it's not time yet for him to go to the window and bark, waiting for his owner. So on one particular day, the wife of the owner went to his workplace before coming home. She would come home at 2 p.m. and she picked up a t-shirt from him, a used t-shirt. Okay, she came home and her dog greeted her quite normally, but he wasn't too fond of her. It was really fun, really bonded with her husband. So at about 3:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she started to walk around the house with a t-shirt of her husband, waving the t-shirt around like this, right? So getting the smell to go all the way around the house. Anyway, the dog, 4 p.m. comes, the dog fast asleep. 4:30 comes, the dog fast asleep, right, in his basket. The owner comes in through the door, and the dog looks at him going, what the heck are you doing here? So can you imagine? It's not time yet. What are you doing here? Did you get chucked out of work or something? You lose your job. So that just goes to show that the dog knew, by the way that the intensity of the smell decreased through time, knew when it was time for his owner to come back again. Unbelievable. Really unbelievable. You can try that with your dog. Now, if you've got a dog that does this, try it. Let me know how that goes. Let me know how things are going. All right. So we've got Montserrat from Barcelona. Hi. Well, Spain, another beautiful country that I love very much. Spain has been just like Italy, just like the UK, just like the US, has gone through a huge, difficult, incredibly difficult time. But there you are. So everybody's slowly, I hope, coming through that. So let's see. Show me, send me all your questions on dog behavior. What do you want to know? Something you've always wanted to know. Something that's been puzzling you for years and years and years. It's been stuck in the back of your mind, and you're thinking, I wonder. Now's your chance. Come on, write to me. Get your friends to join us. Share the video with your friends now on Facebook. Go on, share it. Hit the share button. Where is it? That's where the share button is, I think. So hit the share button on Facebook. Get your friends to join. Call your grandmother. I don't mind. Anybody. Okay, so let's see. Now, we are good here in Qatar. I still got to work every day. Always wear a face mask when going out. Well, Angie, I think wearing a face mask is something that a lot of people are going to get more and more used to. And in fact, for all those of you who follow me on Instagram and on Facebook will have known that, of course, because I work very close with customers on a one-on-one basis as a behaviorist, so out of respect for them, I, of course, cover my face with a face mask. And the face mask that I've had made, every client who works with me gets one. And they are what's known as charity masks. So part of the of the proceedings from the mask the price I paid for them goes to charities. And here's one. So let me show you. Here's my face mask. There you go. There you go. Now, do you like it? The good thing about this is you can still breathe pretty well. It doesn't protect the person who wears it, but it is out of respect for everybody else that I wear it. And I think everybody else should do that too. Okay, so thank you, Angie. Thank you for that. Right, Robert, I want to get a DNA test done. Is there any you would recommend? I guess because, Robert, you want to know what kind of a breed or what kind of breeds potentially are in your dog, in Ginger, right? Well, let me tell you, there is really not much point in doing that. That is my honest, true opinion. I tell you what's in your dog, a dog, right? It doesn't really matter whether it turns out to be that it's 60% boxer, 28% German Shepherd, and a bit of Chihuahua. It's not going to change the bond that you have with your dog. It's going to make you perhaps a little bit poorer, around about $250 for a test of that kind. So quite frankly, you want to have it done just for the fun of it, have it done. It's not necessarily really going to tell you much about your dog. It certainly doesn't tell you much about your dog's character. What tells you more about your dog's character is how you know him, what your dog does. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. So Carolina, with an old T-shirt and he thinks that he's not alone. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's not that easy. Otherwise, you would just take off an old T-shirt, give it to your dog, leave the house, and your dog would be sitting there thinking, oh, mommy's still here. That's not how it works, Carolina, okay? That's not how it works. If you want to teach your dog to be home alone, you have to do it step by step, okay? Literally what you need to do is you have to make the experience of being left alone, of you leaving the house, it has to be a pleasurable experience, okay? So how do you do that? Well, let me tell you a quick and easy fix. Get yourself a toy like a Kong. Everybody knows that toy. So it's a rubber toy that you can stuff things inside, peanut butter or cheese or liver pate or whatever. Okay. Now, because each and every one of us, before we leave the house, we have a routine, right? So you'll be looking for your keys, your handbag, your mobile phone, your jacket, perhaps. And when your dog sees you do that, He looks at you and he thinks, oh God, here we go. She's going again. She's leaving me alone again. Okay. So he starts to whine and think, oh no, oh, I'm feeling bad already. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And then you leave the house and your dog goes crazy. Either he barks or your dog destroys things out of frustration. Why are you not taking me with you? And so on and so forth. Okay. So this is how you do it. Get yourself a Kong, put something inside that the dog really likes but never usually gets. Liver pate, right? Put some liver pate, just smear it inside the Kong. Get yourself ready to leave. Give your dog the Kong. The dog's going to go, hey, this is brilliant. Start to lick away at the Kong, right? You leave the house. Leave without saying a word. Leave, come back after 30 seconds. Without saying a word, you go to the dog, you pick up the Kong, and you put it away. Then you go sit back down in front of the TV, take your jacket off, put your keys down, and that's it. Your dog's going to be looking at you going, what? After a minute, you get up, put your jacket on again, get your keys, catch your bag, get the Kong, put some more liver pate, give it to the dog without saying a word, leave the house. Close the door. Come back after a minute and a half. The dog will still be licking away. Take the Kong, put it away, sit down again in front of the TV. Right? Slowly but surely, you will be spending more and more time outside. So a minute and a half, then 2 minutes, then 3, then 5, then 10. And your dog is going to say, hey, let's hope that she will take a little bit longer to come back, because every time she comes back, she takes away my Kong, right? So what you actually do is you teach your dog that A, when you leave the house, something wonderful happens. And B, it's all right. And when you come back, it's absolutely fine. Don't make a huge tuba-boo. Don't make a theater out of coming back. Yeah, people greet their dogs as if they haven't seen them for ages. Then they kind of wonder why dogs jump on them. Well, come on. You know, you come through the door and you go, oh, come on, little boy, where are you? And the dog jumps on you. The dog is jumping on you, not just to greet you. He's telling you off. He's telling you, where the heck have you been? And why didn't you take me with you? Okay, so that's my tip for you on how to do this. Okay, so, all right, Natalie. I have a 5-year-old Shih Tzu. She doesn't listen much outside if I tell her to come to me. Ah, well, Natalie, this is probably one of the most important behaviors to teach your dog, right? It's what I call rocket recall. Now, you know, have you ever seen these people at the dog park or outside who have something like a border collie or, a golden retriever, one of these dogs who are really well behaved, who can do everything, right? And they're at the other end of the park, and the owner just goes, and the dog literally turns around on his heels and comes back like a rocket. That's what I call rocket recall. All right. Now, if you want to achieve this, Natalie, the way to do that is to get yourself a border collie. No, just kidding, just kidding. You can also do it with your Shih Tzu, but you have to motivate your Shih Tzu to come to you. Now, how do you do that? Well, you need to use what's known as a positive reinforcer. Now, all those of you who know me know that I am a certified science-based professional and that I only use positive methods. So you'll have heard me talk about positive reinforcement, using food to reinforce a behavior, right? Behavior that you want. So every time your dog looks at you, turns around and looks at you and starts walking toward you, say, good boy, and give a treat, right? It's not bribery, right? This is not politics, right? Okay. This is not bribery. This is reinforcing a wanted behavior. Your dog comes to you when called, you give it a little bit of sausage, for example, or a bit of cheese, something that the dog doesn't usually get, not his normal kibble, because that's boring. Okay, so give something which is really good, which is a high value for the dog. So what happens is, by giving what's known as a positive reinforcer, you are increasing the probability that the behavior that the dog has shown you will be shown again more often in time. Okay, so that's really the most important thing. Natalie, you need to do this bit by bit, by slowly building up the distance, how far away you are from the dog when you call it. And here's a caveat, right? You also have to slowly build up the amount of distraction, right? Everybody who has a puppy knows this, right? Your puppy performs beautifully at home, right? Your puppy is now, let's say, 4 or 5 months old, beautiful, right? Natalie with her Vishla, I know she knows what I'm talking about. The dog at home, perfect. Then you take your dog to the dog park, you ask it to sit, and the dog's going, nah, I don't think so. That's because there are too many dogs around him. There's distraction. So the dog doesn't want to do that. So the way to get that done is to slowly but surely build up his resistance to distraction, right? Bit by bit. So when you first start to teach your dog, you'll do it at home, then you'll do it in your front garden, then you'll do it in your front garden when people are walking by on the other side of the street, and so on and so forth. And then slowly you will do it on the edge of the dog park. You will do it perhaps when he's a little bit tired and ask him to come to you. And when he does, wow, reward your dog profusely for having done that, okay? So let's see. We have a question from Robert. Can dogs sense our different emotions? Robert, that is a beautiful question. The answer is yes, they can. They really seriously can. And there are two reasons for that. The first is dogs are incredibly good at observing us. Dogs have been observing us for the better part of 15,000 years. So they're really, really good at it, okay? A dog, and you know this, Robert, right? When you get up from your sofa to go to the bathroom, right? Your dog doesn't necessarily follow you. If you get up from your sofa and you know you want to go to the kitchen, your dog will follow you. And so you kind of think of it to yourself, how the heck does he know? He knows because you get up in a different way, right? So this, by the way, has all been scientifically proven. Your dog is such a good observer of you that he will be able to tell by just looking at the top part of your face, so your eyes, your emotions. If you are feeling happy, if you're laughing, if you are worried, if you're angry, and so on and so forth, just by looking at your eyes. Also, he can tell by looking at the lower part of your face, just your mouth. So if he then has the whole of your face plus your body to look at and to interpret, he will really be able to tell what's going on with you. Now, this has been recently beautifully scientifically proven by Dr. Gregory Burns in New York, who is a neuroscientist. And what he's done is he has, together with colleagues, taught dogs to lie down quietly in an MRI, magnetic resonance scan. And anybody who's been in one of these knows how loud they are, right? So with lots of months of teaching, they've taught the dogs to lie down in the scan and not move, motionless, right? And be set up to all sorts of different stimuli, like, for example, noises and smells and visual stimuli. And that way, because they've taught these dogs to do that, they have been able to monitor dogs' brain waves while the dog was awake, right? In real time, just like they do with humans. And here's the thing. Dogs' brains are pretty much the same as us. They're pretty much the same. Not 100% the same. The part of the brain that is for food and for chasing squirrels and for tennis balls, a little bit bigger than ours. No, joking apart. The brain waves, the brain streams that you have when you see somebody you love, when you see something that scares you, when you smell something you like, or when you smell something you hate. They are exactly the same in humans as in dogs. Dogs can literally smell love and fear. So back to your question, Robert, can dogs smell our different emotions? Yes, they can not just see them, but they can also smell them. Now, here's an example. Fear releases two main hormones in the bloodstream. One of them is called adrenaline, and that's the hormone that makes your muscles readily available so you can fight, right? And you can run away if something scares you. The other hormone is cortisol. It's known as the stress hormone. and it is released when you are stressed, when you are fearful, right? Dogs can smell this. Literally. They can literally smell this. So they can smell if you are scared of them or not. And here's something perhaps you are, you are thinking about why, is it possible? You may have read this. You may have read this. Talking about smell, can dogs actually smell the coronavirus? And here's the answer. Potentially, yes, they can. And there are quite a few groups of scientists and universities across the world at the moment working on teaching dogs to smell the difference between a human who is carrying COVID-19 and a human who is not, right? At the beginning of March, so as this whole thing started in Europe, I was in touch with Professor Angle from Auburn Veterinary Medicine School of Auburn University in Alabama in the United States, because I came across a study known as the Auburn Dog. Now, Auburn University and Professor Angle and his colleagues have been able to teach dogs to become super dogs, the Auburn Dog, right? They're pretty normal dogs like a German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever might be, but they have been taught to differentiate between the smells of different things that, we already know that dogs can smell diseases, right? There are nine different types of cancer that dogs can smell with an accuracy rate of 98.5%, right? One of the most important cancers that dogs can smell by just smelling the urine sample is prostate cancer. So for all you guys out there, prostate cancer, your dog can smell it, right? But they have, at Auburn University, they have been teaching dogs to differentiate between bacteria and different types of bacteria and even viruses. Now, here's the big thing. The difference between a bacteria and a virus, bacteria can survive without the host, right, by themselves. Viruses cannot. Viruses can survive for a period of time on surfaces, but in the long run, they cannot survive without a host. And viruses are much smaller than bacteria. And most of the time, a virus is odorless. It doesn't smell of anything, all right? So how do we get around that? Well, what scientists have done is that they have realized that when cells are afflicted by a virus or by bacteria, they change their smell, right? So if you were to have coronavirus, even if you're not showing symptoms, the dog would be able to smell the change in your body cells and the composition of your cells, and will be able, and these have a very clear, identifiable smell key. Now, these smells are known as volatile organic compounds, VOCs, right? You can look that up. Look it up on Google. Very interesting stuff, right? So basically, if you think about passengers going through an airport terminal, the dog will be able to smell not just who's smuggling drugs, but who's got the coronavirus by identifying and being trained to do exactly this. Now, at the moment, there's a team of dogs being trained for Heathrow Airport. And these dogs, and lots of other places around the world, by the way, and these dogs should be able, at peak times, to sniff, each should be able to sniff 400 people per hour, right? So what we've learned is that science has taught us that dogs whose sniffing capabilities are so immensely more powerful, 10,000 times more powerful than any instrument currently available to science, right? Get this, 10,000 times more powerful. So by working with dogs to identify smells like this, volatile organic compounds, we are learning to make our future instruments better. And then dogs are incredibly mobile. So, you can take your dog anywhere. All you need to do is feed it give it water, take it out for a walk and give it love, and then you can take it anywhere. They're incredibly mobile detection units. So that's really quite amazing stuff, Okay, now, Mike and Nancy, Scout barks at aerosol spray. Why is that? Well, get this. Maybe it stinks. You know, for him it stinks. Maybe it's just too intense. Maybe he doesn't like the zishing noise, you know, the aerosol spray noise. If you're talking about these aerosol sprays that people have in their house to make, you know, the air have a nice smell, that's the reason. Dogs really don't like this stuff. Yeah. So, you know, if you can avoid it, it would be better. If you like it so much, then please use one of these that have only natural oils and no chemistry. Okay, here we go. Carolina says, when we leave, we can give a gift to eat, for example. Talking about leaving your dog alone. All right. Yes, you can. However, please never leave anything big to chew for your dog while you leave. So things like chewable bones, rawhide, stuff like that. Never give your dog something to chew when you're not there, right? Because if anything happens and it gets stuck at the back of the throat and you're not there and the dog chokes, you will never forgive yourself. So it has to be something small or something very soft. Okay, so I think that's really very important. Here we are. Montserrat is, do you teach like as if it was a child? Well, Montserrat, yes, absolutely. In fact, dogs' cognitive powers resemble pretty much those of a 2-3-year-old child. Okay, you know, dogs have incredible capabilities. There is a wonderful book out there called A Dog Named Chaser. It's a story of Chaser the Border Collie. Look him up, or her rather, up on Facebook and on the web. Chaser, who passed away sadly a few months ago, was a Border Collie who lived with a retired professor, John Pilley. And John was a retired professor, and he had a lot of time on his hands. Now, get this, John actually taught Chaser more than 1,000 words. Now, Chaser could differentiate between 1,000 object names. Okay, so you know, there aren't any 3-year-olds that know 1,000 words. I know enough adults who can't even pass 500. So seriously, you know, 5,000 words for a dog, unbelievable. A dog's cognitive powers are huge, and you know, you can really push your dog to do that. Okay, Caroline, they smell when someone is scared. Yes. And your dog sees that and becomes mad. Yes, and here's the reason. Let me tell you why. Now, a lot of people have asked me this before. Why does my dog bark at somebody who is obviously scared of him? We don't really know 100%. I mean, you would have to ask your dog, and you know, unless the dog was Chaser, he wouldn't be able to tell us. No, just kidding. The thing is, we assume there are 2 reasons for that. Okay, one of them is because they smell the fear, and so they also join in giving alarm, and they start to become, so an anxious dog will become fearful because he has smelled fear. He has smelled the hormones related to fear in a human, right? So he thinks, hey, if you're scared, well, then maybe I should be scared too. All right. So that could be one of the reasons why they bark. Guard dogs may bark at somebody who's scared because it's their job to make them scared. Think about that. Okay. A guard dog's job is scare people away. It's not eat the postman, right? The guard dog's job is to guard something, a territory, an area, whatever. And any intruder who he does not recognize should be barked at so that they go away. So the dog knows this, all right? So that's why a lot of dogs will bark at people who are obviously scared of them. And the more they bark, the more the people get scared. That's the funny thing about it all, right? So it's not as if your dog goes, oh, you're scared? fine, done with that. You can leave now. No, he keeps on barking. So that's really quite something. Okay, let me comment on something. In the meantime, write to me where you're from. Those who've joined us, let me know where you're watching us from. And think of any other questions you'd like to ask me about your dog's behavior or any other dog's behavior or things that have always been in the back of your mind, okay? Let me ask you something. Let me tell you something about cleaning your dog's paws, because this is something that whilst I was in lockdown in Italy, it's something that unfortunately was reported in the media in a wrong way. So let me talk about this very briefly. Now, people have said, well, if I go out and walk my dog, will he potentially bring back the coronavirus from the street? Now, first of all, there is no evidence that coronavirus can live by itself on the street. In fact, there is evidence that coronavirus lives on surfaces for a very restricted amount of time. And if these surfaces are dry or warm, like a street, like the surface of the street or the pavement, then it will not survive there. Okay, so that's the truth. But to be able to catch coronavirus from your dog's paw, this would need to happen. Somebody would need to walk past you, spit on the ground. Somebody who has coronavirus, he would need to spit on the ground and hello, what's going on? Come here. Sorry, this is Mork, my doggy. Come on. He wants to interrupt. He wants to say hello and interrupt. Wonderful, Mork. Thank you very much for crashing. This is what usually happens to news anchors with their kids. Mork, give them plats. Yeah, that's it, in your house. That's a good boy. Good. All right, so somebody needs to spit on the street, right? Your dog needs to step on that with his paw, right? He needs to walk home with a wet paw. When he gets home, you touch the paw and then you put your finger in your mouth. Then you can catch the coronavirus. But I mean, come on, who the heck is going to do that, right? It's ridiculous. But still, a lot of people want to clean their dog's paws. This is what was said on the TV, and it was just wrong. They said to use very aggressive chemicals to do that, right? The truth is, the only thing you will ever need to clean your dog's paws is soap and water. It's the cheapest and the most efficient thing you'll ever be able to use, and it doesn't hurt your dog's paws at all. Use a mild soapy detergent that you would use for your hands and water, and that's the best thing to do. You can use, there are little towels. These products are made especially for dogs, for cleaning their coat and for cleaning their eyes and stuff, but they're not necessarily antibacterial and they don't necessarily have soap. And the reason, by the way, this is also as far as your hands are concerned, why do governments across the globe tell us, wash your hands? The reason is very simple. If you have coronavirus on your hands because you've touched your face, the way to get it off your hands is to get rid of the grease that is on the fat, which is on the top layer of the skin of your hands. And to do that, you use soap and water, right? You break the fat film, you wash it away. And the reason is very simple. Coronavirus on the skin can only hang on to the skin if there is a fat layer on the skin, right? If there is no fat layer on the skin, you literally wash it off. You wash it off. That is the reason why they say wash your hands, okay? And of course, that is also really important for your dog's paws. Okay, so we've got a few more comments coming in. Natalie is going to try. Here we are. Robert, is it unusual for a dog to play with a cat? No, it's not unusual. It's not unusual at all. It kind of provokes the question, how do dogs and cats get along? And everybody knows that there has been this ancient rivalry between dogs and cats, okay? And the reason is very simple. They are totally different animals who speak totally different languages. We all know that dogs communicate through body language to about about, let's say, 90% of the communication is body language. Okay, 5% is barking, and 5% is smells, olfactory communication. But 90% is body language. With a cat, it is similar. There's a little bit more meowing than there is barking in dogs. Cats are more vocal than dogs. But, however, their way of communicating is different. Okay, so why don't they get along? Well, because naturally cats want to run away from a dog, and the dog wants to run after the cat. It's part of the fun, So for a dog to play with the cat, they have to really know each other's language quite well. It's like somebody speaking French and somebody else speaking Spanish. It's going to be hard for them to communicate. So if dogs grow up, or dogs and cats grow up together, then they can get used to one another's company and get used to being with a totally different animal. They know it's a different animal because, it looks different, it smells different. It's not there's no problem there. But then they can learn to play with a cat, and a cat can learn to play with a dog. So, Robert, it's not unusual. It does happen, not very often, but it does happen. In fact, as far as inter-species friendships are concerned, there are so many different examples out there. If you go on YouTube and you put in, you look for friendship between dog and lion, dog and an elephant, or a cat and an ape, and so on and so forth. There are so many beautiful stories out there of things like that that have happened and still do happen. So yeah, that certainly does happen quite a lot. Okay, well, what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to wrap things up a little bit. We've talked about several things that have to do with COVID-19. I'd like to add a few comments. Now, I think for me, certainly, and for a lot of people that I know, having a dog during this difficult time has been great comfort. It really has. They give us so much empathy and love and support, especially in difficult times. So let me just take a chance to thank all the dogs across the world who are helping humans just by being dogs, by doing what they do. And of course, I'd like to thank all those who either train or use or implement assistance dogs of all kinds, whether it be search and rescue dogs, police dogs, dogs that look for people who are lost in the woods or maybe under rubble or earthquakes, fire brigade dogs, medical detection dogs, and very, very soon we'll be looking at the COVID-19 detection dogs teams around the world, and they too will help us get through this very, very difficult stage that we are all experiencing now. So thanks to the dogs for that. Then I'd like to say one word about the type of training that I do and the type of training that I advocate. I said at the beginning of this broadcast that I am a science-based positive dog trainer. I'm certified for that. I'm a behaviorist. I only use positive methods, and there is a very, very simple reason. Aversive methods, if used with the right timing, and if you know what you're doing, do work. They do work, but there is no reason to do it. I don't want to break my dog's trust, and I don't want to inflict pain on any living being. All right. So that is why I don't use aversive methods. Okay. To be able to use aversive methods correctly, you have to have a perfect understanding of dogs' body language and communication. You have to have a perfect understanding of learning theory. Okay. So to know about behaviorism and how that works and how learning actually takes place. And thirdly, you have to have a perfect timing. Now, if you have all three things, you don't need aversive methods. So please, if you're thinking of going to a dog school or going to see a trainer and they use aversive methods, look for another place. Look for a different place, okay? You wouldn't send your child to a teacher who beats him, would you? So why do it with a dog, okay? Aversives are the last resort of people who have no other way of communicating their dog because they are simply ignorant. They don't know. They literally ignore that there is science out there which has made aversive dog training. It's surpassed it. It's something that belongs in the past. Quite frankly, it belongs in the Middle Ages. Okay, so anybody who's still using aversive dog training out there is living in the past and has basically shut his or her eyes from the development of science of the past 40 years, right? At least 30 years. So please stop that. So use positive, kind methods. There are so many different books out there, so many different authors. Patricia McConnell, just to name one who's influenced me a lot in my career, a lovely lady, and one of the world's absolute top behaviorists. So please look her up and the books that she's written. And there are so many other things. Now, for the future, I will probably be doing this again next Friday. So a week from today at exactly the same time. So I think it's a good time. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've got questions that come up afterwards. When the video is finished, please share it with your friends, share it in groups. You can, share the link in all sorts of different places. That would be great. For next week, you can, as soon as I create the event, you can look on my Facebook page, and you will find that you can write answers already. You can comment on the event, and maybe we can get more people to get involved. We've had people from all sorts of different countries today who've joined us. So let's see if we can get more people involved next week. So for the time being, let me thank you all. Thank you all for having joined me today. Give me thumbs up and hearts if you liked it. And so with Mark, come up, who gets another treat for jumping up on the chair, I'm now going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your weekend wherever you are. Be kind to your dog, and I shall see you. Yes, would you like to say something as well? And I shall see you next week. Follow me on Instagram. Lots of lovely pictures. Let me see. One more question from Monster. Will this be able to see later every week? Well, yes, you can see the video again on my Facebook page. Of course, you can see it as often as you like, and you can share it with friends. Come up, Marky, up. There we go. Here's another little treat for more. Okay, thanks to everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and see you next week. Same time, same place. Take care.